Welcome on into another episode of the Barbershop. It's your boy G Bush, right back at it with episode 2. Episode 1 was great last week. This week we get into some more nitty gritty. We got to get it going. We got false prophets. It's a lot of these dudes out here telling you that they are gurus. They know who's in the draft. They know which quarterback is going to be great, and they say it with such energy and strength. They be making y'all believe it. But you know how we give it up on the barbershop. This is a thinking man's show. So I'm going to encourage you today to think about what we're talking about. We're going to get to that. We will also get to the Browns' new stadium proposal, and I'm going to come at it another way that you didn't ever think of was possible, and that'll make you think about what's really behind the Browns moving from downtown. DeAndre Hunter, we talked about him on the show last week. He looked up, he showed up, and he looks as advertised. All-Star break is ready to roll. We're going to get into that, as well as what is my problem with taking Abdul Carter number 2. He's a great player. I'm a defensive end. I love watching his game, but there's just something holding me back from drafting him at number 2, and we will talk about that. All of these great questions, all of this is coming up on the most electrifying, the most specific, and the hottest show in the whole city. It's your boy G Bush with the Barbershop. Into another beautiful Saturday morning here in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm G Bush representing the Barbershop. We want to thank everybody for pulling up on us on the Barbershop right here every single Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You could catch me on Facebook right now. You should be watching. You can catch me on Twitter right now on my page. You should be watching. You can also catch me on the UCSS network, on YouTube channel, as well as the Barbershop. So shout out to all of the people that are watching me wherever you are. Let me know what you're thinking about the show. Comments are, this is a highly interactive show with the fans. You guys make part of what this show is, and we do 2 straight hours. We would not be able to do that without you guys. And as we said before, we're going to get into a lot of stuff right now. And I've been actually very interested, and I've been very excited to do these topics for a very long time. Because most of my brand of what the Barbershop is I like to tell people all the time, don't take my word for it. Do not take my word for it. I encourage people to go out there, do your research, do your due diligence, and come up with your own thoughts. The worst thing I hate in sports talk is talking points. And one of the talking points that's been going around and is continually going around in the circles in the media of Cleveland is these draft gurus are coming in here telling you there's no quarterbacks in this draft. It ain't even got to specifically be quarterbacks. It could be, this is a bad wide receiver class. You know what? There's no defensive ends in this class, G Bush. There's none of that. They're sitting up here telling you these lies about why these guys are not available and they're not there. When you take a look at this situation with the Cleveland Browns, and I've heard this many times, there's no quarterbacks, G. There's nobody worth it. And you ask them one question. See, I like to ask you specifics. Well, how many games did you watch of them during the year? I never really watched Colorado. Never really watched Miami. I watch more Big Ten football. I'm more of a Buckeyes guy. Okay, that's fine. Did you see them playing the games? Nah, not really. Did you watch them? You see any All-22? Nah. I just leave that to the gurus. I leave that to I'm not a draft expert. I haven't really seen them, but from what I'm hearing, from whatever I'm seeing, there is no quarterbacks in this draft. And that would be cool if you were just a fan, because I get it. As a fan, you do not want no problems. As a fan, you don't got all time to be watching these guys play. You don't got all the time in the world to be doing all of that stuff. You basically are like, listen, I watch a couple of my teams. I watch my home team. I do what I need to do and keep it pushing. Well, here's the problem. That would be cool if you guys were just doing it. But the problem is the guys that are prevalent with it is my brethren, my colleagues. My colleagues are running around here telling you when you ask them about a prospect, they say, well, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him play before. That's unacceptable. How's that acceptable? And what we're going to do today is we're going to debunk a whole lot of stuff. So buckle up, boys and girls. I'm going to be providing the receipts. You see, that is what I bring to the table, the receipts. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back and show you all these gurus that get paid all this bread to come tell you that they're going to bring rain from the skies and they're going to do magic tricks. These Wizard of Oz guys that know all the quarterbacks and all that good stuff. I'm going to actually show you in real time just how clueless they are. Now, look, this isn't a blog about bashing guys because everybody gets it wrong every once in a while. Everybody is a crapshoot. You don't know. But the problem that I got is people saying stuff with so much definite secret sauce, so much moxie. I know this isn't one of the draft class. It'd be dumb to go out there and waste a number 2 overall pick on a guy that if he was in this draft class last year, he would be at best the 9th best quarterback. Stop it. Stop the games. That brings me to Exhibit A. We just watched the Super Bowl, right, boys and girls? We just watched the Super Bowl, boys and girls, did we not? And I saw Patrick Mahomes, who is probably one of the greatest quarterbacks living right now, probably is the best, I still would say, and has a chance to be the best of all time, even going, in terms of Tom Brady. I just saw the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts embarrass them. Don't give me, well, it was the D-line. I get it, the defensive line was playing well. But one thing that we cannot dismiss is Jalen Hurts making plays with his feet, Jalen Hurts making plays when it counted. And let me just give you this too. He's been to 2 Super Bowls already. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. And the last Super Bowl, he threw for over 300 yards. But guess what? Guess what round Jalen Hurts was taken in? Actually, to be truthful, in the evaluation in my homework doing for these videos for the barbershop today, and my evaluation is I went back and checked what people said. The only 2 things that he had that people talked about in terms of his upside was his toughness, his leadership, and his ability to run with his legs. That was it. People mentioned maybe he could be a fullback. People talked about all the laundry list of different things that he was not good at. They talked about accuracy, anticipation, lack of pocket presence, not staring down receivers, mechanics all over the place, arm motion, all of these things, all of the things that you judge a quarterback on, all of these things that you judge, guess what? They said he wasn't it, right? But fast forward a couple of years, not only is he a starting quarterback in the league, not only is he, one of the top paid quarterbacks in the league, he did it on a rookie deal, and he's been to 2 Super Bowls. Cleveland Browns fans, you can learn from this because there's a lot of people telling you this quarterback ain't good and this quarterback ain't good and that quarterback is trash and this. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the receipts. It don't do it justice if I just tell you. Let's go back in the timeline. Let's get in the time machine and talk about what it really looked like in real time when the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts, and what were people saying?
Homer. Well, it just got interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Is in for the Philadelphia Eagles.
There you go. I had to bring that back.
We're the 53rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Hurts, quarterback, Oklahoma.
Well, it just got interesting, ladies and gentlemen. as Jalen Hurts is going to Doug Peterson and that Philadelphia offense.
Yeah, I truly understand all the intangibles and everything that everyone is saying about Jalen Hurts, and I have the utmost respect for Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson, especially as a play caller. But this is just a weird pick for a team that's lacking offensive help at the wide receiver position. They still could use another DB or two. Just an interesting situation to draft a quarterback who, at best, I think is a developmental project, putting behind Carson Wentz. Interesting pick here for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, they're committed to Jalen Hurts. That's what everyone in the organization is saying, and you've got to be, because that's your option. That's the direction you went. And you made that Carson Wentz deal because you thought that Hurts was going to bring you more success moving forward, and it frees up a lot of money too. Let's be honest. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to lead Philadelphia or any NFL organization to a Super Bowl. I just don't think he's that level of quarterback.
Oh, say it ain't so. That is that's a nice change of pace right there. See, the thing about receipts is there's a thing called the internet. Not like I'm saying, everybody gets it wrong every once in a while. But do you see the definite nature in the way they talk? I just hate to say it. I mean, at best, he's a project quarterback. At best, he's a project. I don't think he's going to take you anywhere, any team, anytime to a Super Bowl. But the man has been to two. Buyer beware. You gurus out there, they be getting y'all. And my brethren in the media don't do it no better. They disseminate all of this stuff. They give you all of these narratives and talking points about why ain't nobody good and why you got to draft defensive tackles every year because you can't get it right. You just can't afford to make those moves at number 2. But let me just tell you something. Sometimes people will talk you out of something because they know what the real is. You think why is it that all the time there's all these guys telling you, oh, this guy ain't no good. But every time you come to the podium, they drafting these the non-traditional quarterbacks, and they're going to the league. They're going straight to the Super Bowl. These guys telling me Jalen Hurts ain't no good, telling me he's not that. But listen, I give you that. Let me go. Let's just continue. I understand. 500 people in here right now. Hit that like button for your boy. We appreciate you wherever you at. I'm not going to just give you Jalen Hurts because here's what I don't like. This is low-hanging fruit. It's easy to evaluate the Super Bowl and then come back and say, see, I told you, look what Jalen Hurts did. See, that's what you would do. But for your boy G. Bush, no. I got to have multiple sources. Right? And so what we're going to do is let's get to some other quarterbacks that the slander was all over the place. If you don't like Jalen Hurts, let's go to another mobile quarterback. Guy that won a few MVPs in the division. Let's see if you can realize who this guy is. Roll the tape.
Wide out. But initially, I think the team addressed him maybe second round. We'll look at him as a developmental quarterback.
What do you think, Mel, though? There's a lot of ifs and cans, and what do you actually think? Where would you draft him?
I would draft him in the second round because I think at that point, the risk reward is there. If he doesn't make it a quarterback, you have a great fallback. But he has to buy in. And that's the thing I think I don't know that he's going to buy in.
As a receiver.
Right.
This is like as a second round, as a receiver talent, that might be
second round.
By the way, you see them little buzzwords they give you? He has to buy in. What does that really mean? I'm confused.
Quarterback.
A second round quarterback.
Who, if he doesn't get it done as a quarterback, moves to wide receiver. But he's got to be all in on the wide receiver transition. If he's not, then that may alter how you feel about taking him in the second round.
I've never spent any time with him talking football. So I just, first thing we've got to figure out is the football intelligence, how quickly he picks things up. And then secondly, I've got to figure out, do I have someone on my staff that can help him work to consistently improve his footwork. To me, maybe later second, third round, where you're typically drafting guys that you think can start, but it can be really good backups and bring some versatility. Before that, I just don't know the value is going to be there.
Split the difference. You and I talked yesterday about whether 216 is his real weight or 211 is his real weight. Kids often get heavier for the combine, especially guys who are light. They eat a lot and try to get heavier, so they weigh in heavy. So let's split it right down the middle and say he's 213, okay? Nobody makes a living in the National Football League running the football as a quarterback at 213. Right. And nobody makes a living in the National Football League at 213 with the ball in his hands every play. It's too light to take the beating. Cam Newton, who's the outlier,
over 250,
is over 250. I bet you if we weighed Cam today, he's 260.
Right.
This young man,
big difference.
A huge difference.
And even Cam struggles to
to stay healthy.
Pounding.
Yeah.
Which, I think
so. That's what troubles me. You get him in your building because he is so dynamic with the ball in his hands. The first thing the offensive coordinator is going to say is, "Hey, I need a wildcat package for him.
Right.
We got to get him in the game. We got to get the ball in his hands."
Right.
And then the next thing you know what? We better run the read option on the goal line because he's dynamic. And pretty soon he becomes a hybrid player. And I think that sort of will retard his development as a quarterback.
Wow. 2-time MVP, should have been 3. Should have been 3, You see the buzzwords? You got guys telling me Lamar Jackson, the greatest running quarterback ever to put on the cleats, 2-time MVP. You telling me y'all want him to play receiver? But y'all get paid for these opinions. You out here 3rd round? 3rd round? Beware, Browns fans. They will gas you up, tell you these dudes ain't no good while they laughing to the bank. Laughing, grabbing all the franchise quarterbacks, laughing all the way while we punt and go get left tackles and D tackles and whatever you want to do besides quarterback. They laugh all the way to the bank. I've never understood how that was a problem. Well, if you draft him, you're going to have to play him on the goal line. And then that's not the. Since when is playing a guy stunting somebody's growth? Since when is it a bad thing that you get a guy in the game and he's dynamic? Since when is 2 things less than 1? This pervade. This is everywhere. This is not just a quarterback. We're having some of the same conversations with Travis Hunter. People telling me Travis Hunter going to go to 5th or 6th or 7th or wherever they're going to draft him because they don't know what box he fits in. You know how stupid you sound? He's the best receiver and the best corner in the draft. Let him do what he wants to do. I put him on the field 100 times. But we got so many dents just out of reality, old school mindsets that put these boxes and parameters on people that they can't even evaluate the talent. How is it that you see Lamar Jackson and his athleticism and you're intimidated by it? I'm just saying. I still got more receipts. We can keep going. So now let's do it at home. We have Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. Let's see who else wants to stick their foot in their mouth. Because the receipts is here. Oh, G. Bush, you're a Duke and knee jerk. You're a Duke and knee jerk. Let's talk about a couple of people we know. Let's see if this sounds familiar. This might be one of the worst takes I've ever seen. And by the way, the last 2 clips was courtesy. So y'all don't get me. Courtesy of ESPN. Thank you guys very much. And this is courtesy of Pro Football Focus.
Josh Allen at least has the tools. Those are definitely there. It is unquestionable that he has the strongest arm in this draft class. He has an absolute howitzer attached to his shoulder, and that entices people. It draws people in and makes them think about what he could become. But to me, he's an IKEA quarterback. There's a big box there, and inside are all the components you need to create.
Hold on. He's an IKEA quarterback. This is blasphemous. This is aged like a gallon of milk out in the sun for 35 days in the month of July.
This franchise quarterback, but you're going to have to build it. You're going to have to put it together yourself, and I don't know if the instruction manual does you a lot of good. It's in a foreign language. It's not helpful.
You paint beautiful pictures, by the way.
You're going to have to create this quarterback from scratch, and that's a tough thing for NFL teams to do.
Can we just compare that to are there already some ready-built quarterbacks in this draft? I mean,
yes.
The top three guys that we think are better than the next tier of quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, they're already better quarterbacks.
These fools. No, they're not fools. Shout out. Listen, we've had these guys on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We appreciate you guys. Everyone's entitled to a miss every once in a while. But these dudes just told you in front of your face, there's already ready-made quarterbacks. The three guys we have, Josh Rosen, who's not in the league anymore, Baker Mayfield, who's on his 5th or 6th team, and Sam Darnold has been bounced around. He had a nice year last year. But do you see the evaluation cockiness in these individuals? They said it as if it was gospel. And all we have is MVP Josh Allen, top 3 quarterback, dead or alive right now. I wouldn't say dead or alive. That was the wrong statement. But a top 3 quarterback now. Continue.
Quarterbacks than Josh Allen. So this is this philosophical discussion on what is upside, what is potential. You know, what are the odds that Josh Allen, or when does he even become better than those guys, right? Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, they're more accurate. They already make better decisions. They already make more plays down the field than Josh Allen on a consistent basis. Where do those intersect? Because I feel like so many people look at this cannon for an arm and think, he's got the basic tools. I'll teach him accuracy and footwork and all these other things.
That's the crazy thing about all this is even if you manage to successfully assemble this quarterback box that you bought, the absolute best case scenario is you might end up with a guy who's a little bit worse than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, every way conceivable, he is better than Josh Allen right now, and he probably has the second best arm in this draft class. So even if you can eradicate all the negative sides of Josh Allen's game, put together this complete package with that giant arm, with that huge stature, you might get a guy who's as good as Baker Mayfield, but it's unlikely.
Boy, I tell you. Did you hear what that man said? That man just straight up told you, even at his best, Josh Allen was going to be a poor man's Baker Mayfield. These receipts is devastating. But here's how I have to do this. I got to come this way. Because, you know, when we start talking about draft and everything, I hate talking points. My whole life goal is to get rid of them. And what I'm trying to show you is the league is brilliant at this. They market these guys as experts and draft pundits. And then they come out, they make these bold statements and the bold takes, and then they get to grade how do you think they did after the draft, and then you don't see them the rest of the year. You don't see them the rest of the year. They don't evaluate them in the league. They don't evaluate them how they're progressing. As a matter of fact, they're already on to the next group of guys, the juniors and the underclassmen for next year. And then they come up with the way too early mock drafts, Now, where is the accountability factor in saying, if you are a guru, how is it that there was no accountability piece here? There's no accountability piece. There's no, hey, man, let me tell you, hey, Todd, you struck and missed on this one, dog. This was terrible. You heard what you said about Lamar Jackson? No accountability. It gets worse. I'll continue on. We got one more example. This is the highest example. See, there's been multiple drafts where they said there wasn't any quarterbacks worth taking. In this case, they took a guy from Ohio. I believe he's from Minner. Mitch Trubisky, 2 overall, out of North Carolina, 13 games. But they passed on somebody. Take a look at that guy.
These are the words I hear: undisciplined, lacking fundamentals. Answer this for me. When I hear words about Pat Mahomes, these are the words I hear: undisciplined, lacking fundamentals, immature, These are things you hear about him.
That's the same thing that you heard of Brett Favre, too, when he came out.
Well, a lot of people try to replicate Brett Favre. I mean, how many
life has changed.
All right, how about this, to Stephen A's point? Pat Mahomes is the anti-Alex Smith. He's the opposite of everything Alex Smith is. What kind of message does that send, that Kansas City locker room, specifically to Alex Smith? He just watched his his coach, essentially draft someone who is the exact opposite of him. How does Alex Smith feel about his future?
What message is that saying in the locker room?
No, to Alex Smith specifically.
Which quarterback do you think is going to have the steepest learning curve once they get into the pros?
I think Patrick Mahomes, just with the offense that he ran and the terminology, being able to to be able to talk, spit out the plays. The terminology in the NFL. But he's done a great job. I talked to somebody who he was working with, Mike Shepard, down at Exos, and I know he has worked really hard with Patrick on that. But I think just the system and being able to go through all the progressions, the full field read that he's going to have to do at the NFL, I think he's going to have the biggest learning curve.
Coach Calhoun, so when you have a player who's coming from the air raid or the spread offense, what's the first thing you do when you get a hold of them to try to get them ready for the pro style?
I think you want to make sure he's comfortable dropping under center and being able to read defenses as he's dropping, because it's so different in being in the shotgun the whole time, kind of catching the ball where your eyes are down. You got to catch the ball first, and then you have to start to go through your progression. But so you really have to learn how to take a great pre-snap read, but being able to drop from under center and being able to use the terminology of the play calling. I mean, that's one of the things that I've seen that a lot of quarterbacks struggle with.
That's all I had. I'm just trying to show you something. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the man was talking about the greatest quarterback that probably put cleats on. And it's the same old analysis. Can they read defenses? Can they take a snap from under center? What about the processing? And these guys collectively, as you see what I'm doing here, I'm telling you this. The Cleveland Browns have a number 2 overall pick. What I've just basically done is showed you the top quarterbacks that are living today. What experts said about those guys. Pat Mahomes, I don't know if he's going to get it done. How many Super Bowls he been to? Josh Allen, top 3 quarterback easily. Just won the MVP. Lamar Jackson, 2 MVPs. Perennially 12, 13 game winners. Jalen Hurts, just won a Super Bowl, has been to 2 Super Bowls. All of the guys that are the movers and the shakers and the top of the food chain that everybody says that they want and want to need went at places nobody thought that they would be at. But yet and still, we never learn from anything. We just jump right in and start repeating stuff. Oh, it was, A.G. Bush, there's nobody worth taking. Somebody said that in Patrick Mahomes' draft too. 768 people in the building. Before we get to this, we'll throw the super chat question for the first segment out there. We're going to throw it out there. Let me do this. We all was wrong. Who were you wrong about? I'll go first. I was the first dude. I was a Johnny Manziel fan. I was a Johnny football guy. I thought he was going to get it done. I thought it was going to be the new wave, him and Josh Gordon. And then I found out he was in the club with fake mustache and fake nose. Was drinking every night. This dude basically was laughing like, yeah, bro. He had to come out on the podcast and be like, I didn't read my playbook at all. I was just out there doing what I wanted to. I'll admit. Ain't nothing wrong with admitting. You see, I'm not going to sit up here and criticize these guys all crazy. Like, I ain't never been wrong. But I ain't never been that wrong. What do you say? Who did you like that you missed on in the past, and what did you swing and miss on? And we'll talk about that. Let's get to our first comments of the day. Let's get to it. So let's get to this. Let me make sure. Let me see. Here we go. All right. Let's get to the first comment of the day. Outroute says, Abdul Carter is the first time I've seen someone so widely regarded as a surefire success be someone I have a weird feeling about. I just need to see him win against a good pass set with power. We're gonna get to that. Abdul Carter is coming up. I'm gonna put it to you. I'm gonna give you a different way of thinking about Abdul Carter. And trust me, I love him as a player, but you are correct. There are some things with Abdul Carter that might be an issue. Rob Cunningham said, "What's up, man? What's up, man? How we doing?" Let's see. Let's get to another comment. Floyd Hart, G. Bush is pulling out all the receipts. The receipts on a Saturday morning is devastating. Yeah, I sure am. Let's keep it booking. Let's see. Go back and listen to how do you see they were all balls deep against Zach Wilson and Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen was in that mix too. They loved them some Rosen. They loved him. The OU Ice is my hero. So I don't really get the point though. For every Hurts, there are 500 they do get right. And even the example of Lamar Jackson was before they adjusted to mobile quarterbacks. So here's the thing. There's 100 of them that they got right. And this is the talking point. And you're entitled to your opinion, but let me just break this down for you. You say, what's the point? They were right about hundreds of guys. What I'm telling you is, when you blindly just listen to what they're saying, you end up with results like this. And by the way, they miss more than they hit. Especially when it comes to quarterbacks. So let me give you this. They missed on the entire Baker Mayfield draft. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Josh Rosen went before Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. That was completely out of here. The thing we heard before, Trevor Lawrence is he's a generational player. Trevor Lawrence is the new John the Baptist. Trevor Lawrence and his long flowing locks, he can't miss. This dude is borderline at best. Borderline. I remember the Jake Lockers of the world. All Jake Lockers going number. Remember Matt Leinart. Come on. Let's keep it a buck. Everybody be talking. Listen, Bryce Young. I mean, there's multiple guys. You took Mitch Trubisky over Pat Mahomes. There's multiple reasons that people be missing. Multiple. Let's see. They overhyped Baker and tore down Lamar. Don't forget, Lamar should have been two-time Heisman. Just like he got robbed in this year's MVP, they gave Baker Heisman when he didn't deserve it over Lamar. I thought he should have got it second year as well. Just got to be real about it. The AC way says, if Shador is there and they pass on him for a DN or trade back, I'm done. You don't remember the Alex Matt trade. Who was happy about that? None of the above. What's up, Brian? I appreciate you. Let's get to it. All right. D. Carter 06 says, Shador eats too many sacks. Watch him against top tier talent. He's not an NFL caliber quarterback. Okay. We will get to that. And let's get a couple more. In here. Tribe of Judas 77 says, best teams draft best available player. How many teams reach for a quarterback like Zach Wilson and Kenny Pickett because they need one? Kia Adams says, stop cherry picking. Bring up the clips of people overhyping Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, and Josh Rosen. I don't understand this. Yeah, I just said people was overhyping Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones was definitely a reach. Josh Rosen was terrible. I just said that. That's my point. My point of taking this is this: as we continue to move forward, my point is when you are doing and you are evaluating and you're listening to people and they tell you, oh, this is going to be the greatest thing in the world. We need to do X, Y, and Z. There's no quarterbacks in this draft. There is a quarterback in every single draft. You just have to find them. And at the end of the day, what does that bear on people that are in your organization to develop said quarterback? Those are all valid questions, and we'll continue to talk about them. Let's get to my next topic is right here. Now, we go into the problem with taking Abdul Carter at number 2, right? Let's get to it. What is the issue with taking Abdul Carter at number 2? First of all, let me just say something. I believe that Abdul Carter at number 2 is he's a great pass rusher. I believe that he has some things that he can really do. I believe he has some things that he is really able to exploit at a college level, and I think those things transfer to the NFL. I think, he is a little bit undersized. He's not as big as Myles Garrett. However, he does have the quickness. He has the bend. He does have the explosiveness. He just doesn't have the sheer size that a Myles Garrett has at 275, 280. Myles Garrett is a generational player. Myles Garrett is a Hall of Famer. I don't know specifically if you can call Abdul Carter in the same game and same field as him. That's not fair. It's just like compared, Mike Hall Jr. to Aaron Donald. You just can't do it, especially if a guy is already on a Hall of Fame trajectory. So I like Abdul Carter. Go back and watch him. He's explosive. He can bend the corner. He runs the hoops. He has good hand placement. He's lightning quick on his first step. He has the ability to play in space. He was an outside linebacker at one point in time. So let's not get it twisted like we're sitting here and we're going to bash Abdul Carter. That ain't what this is about. This is about value of said position. I'm going to get to a quote right here. This is from Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Dustin Fox said something, and this had me thinking about what it was that the Cleveland Browns need to do at number 2.
Can.
Yes.
But Andrew Berry can. And Kevin Stefanski. The question is, can the Browns afford to pass on a quarterback with the number 2 pick, right? Okay. Yeah, the Browns can.
Yes.
But Andrew Berry can. And Kevin Stefanski can't. That's why they need to take quarterback at 2, because those guys, if Cam or Shador turn out to not be good players, okay.
They're going to get fired.
They're going to get fired. Guess what else? If they draft a safe player or a defensive end or whatever it may be at 2, and they still don't have a quarterback, they're going to get fired. So you got to just pray and hope. The only way I think these guys keep their jobs and come back is if the quarterback, one of those 2 guys, ends up becoming a good player.
If that's the case, that's a terrible situation for the organization to be in.
How can it be any other case?
It seems like that's the case.
I think it's pretty obvious.
And that was on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And, the conversation went on and it talked about, just what do you do if you value a quarterback? Is it evaluation for the quarterback higher than any other position? And where do the philosophy come from that you take the best available player and you don't reach for a quarterback? So let's talk about this. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to do with whether it's Shador Sanders or whatever. Nathan Segura said something on Cleveland Browns Daily. I thought I had the clip loaded, but I'll just go ahead and give you the gist of what he's saying. He said that right now he's confused by Browns fans and a lot of people in the media because it seems as if all of the negative things that have gone on in the past with your quarterback situation, whether it is the Whedons or Colt McCoys or Brady Quinn or all the way to, the Bakers of the world and Deshaun Watsons, because you failed and swung and missed so many times, the effect is that the media as well as the fan base seems to not want to take a quarterback at any cost. If you talk about quarterback, it's like it's the first thing that people want to back away from the table with. Well, we can't do that. We can't afford to miss that. But we do the same thing every year, people. We do the same thing every single year. We get to the off season. We tell each other that we don't need, weapons or receivers. We go into the season. We start playing. Defense looks solid. And the offense can't score over 14 points. Season continues to go on. Quarterback play is spotty. Musical chairs at quarterback. And the radio waves and the radio and the internet is filled with everybody screaming at the top of their lungs, we don't have a quarterback. I spent all of 2024 talking about why we don't have a quarterback and why Deshaun Watson was the worst pick of all time, why it was the worst contract, and the Browns aren't going to do anything unless they get a quarterback. You lost all of them games. All of those games cost you Myles Garrett. We talked about it last week. You've been losing games hand over fist since he got here. You win 3 games. You don't have a quarterback, but you get here. You earned the 3rd pick because you didn't have a quarterback, but now you're willing to entertain a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers? You're willing to do gymnastics for Kirk Cousins? You're willing to squint and see if I even had stories last week that people talk about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, he might come through. For why? Why would he do that? You're on a 3-win team. Why Justin Fields might come? I even heard Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford is pulling up. Come on. This is where we're going, people. We would rather contort ourselves and make believe and get some 35 to 37 to 41-year-old quarterback and hope that we can squeak 6 to 7 wins out. But Dustin so eloquently put it there. He said, look, that'd be great if you had another 3 to 4 years that you were guaranteed from Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, but they don't. And honestly, I do believe that the only way that they're keeping their jobs is if they find a quarterback and that guy looks like a franchise guy. So we could be smart all we want. They could try to play the smart role and they could accumulate picks and trade back and do all this other stuff. If you ain't got a quarterback and you got Abdul Carter, you're not saving your job. As a matter of fact, that brings me to my thesis statement. 1,029 people in here. Hit that like button wherever you're at. If you're on Facebook, hit that like button. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're on Twitter, hit the like button for me. Appreciate it. This brings me to my thesis statement, the problem with Abdul Carter at 2. You had Myles Garrett this year. Just walk with me. You had Myles Garrett this year, the best defensive lineman, and you probably had the best defensive lineman for the last 7 years. Myles Garrett's going to go down as one of the top 1, 2, 3 pass rushers and defensive players, mainly defensive linemen, but he will be all-time great defensively, period. You got the best pass rusher. You got the defensive player of the year. And guess what? With the defensive player of the year, you got 3 wins. Let that sink in. While teams like the Broncos with Bo Nix, teams with Jaden Daniels, those teams are going to the playoffs. And you got the most explosive defensive end in the game, and you won 3 games. Now let's extrapolate this. If you draft Abdul Carter at 2, what do you think? What percentage of the percentage? At what percentage of his production is he going to give you of Myles Garrett? I'll be kind. I would usually put it at 50%. The rookie sack record is 14.5 sacks by Javon Curse. If Abdul Carter gives you, I don't know, 75% of what Myles Garrett gave you this year, he'd give you what, roughly 10 sacks? 10 sacks, okay. Taking the fact that I played defensive end and I know what the game is, that means you've affected the game in a 17-game season 10 times. Now, I know you can get tackles for loss. I know you can be accounted for double and triple teams. I know you can get tackles for run plays. I know you can just be overall disruptive. I get that. I completely do. But say you just be kind and say, I'm going to give you 35 tackles and another few solos. I'm going to give you, outside of that 10, I'm going to give you 7 or 8 more tackles for loss on quarterback or on running backs or different things. So in total, you got 10 sacks plus the 7 tackles for loss. Those are your impact plays. The tackles downfield and stuff like that. Maybe if you get a couple forced fumbles, strip sacks, 3 or 4 of those. I'm being generous. 17, you're looking at 25 to 26 plays that you're affecting the game at a high level. I'm not even taking in consideration when you make these plays. These plays may be in garbage time. These plays may be in time when the game is out of hand. These stats that you're accumulating may be outside a realm of anything that had the game on the line. 17, 20, 21. And I'm just being kind with this. But when you take a look at a quarterback, the quarterback touches the ball every single play. Protection schemes, every play. Audible, every play. In and out of the huddle, every play. Throwing the ball, handing the ball off, play action fakes. He controls the whole entire game, the whole game. We know this. So when it comes to value, and when it comes to, okay, we want to draft Abdul Carter, but we still don't want a quarterback here. You're handcuffing yourself. And I don't believe, as we talked about, I don't believe that people have sat and watched Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders or any of these guys and came up with an evaluation based on what they saw and based on what they're seeing on the film. We've already established that people just repeat what other people say. We did a whole 35 minutes on that. People in general are not looking at this. So what is behind it? Fear. Absolute fear. Because you feel that if you take a lesser position, that there is not a great, they're more likely to bust at quarterback than other positions. I can give you example after example why that's not true. Let's start with Jed Wills that was taken with a top 10 pick. One of the worst tackles in the game. Top 10 pick. Oh, just take a left tackle every single time. Okay. See how that worked? I mean, is Greg Newsome anything to write home over? He's a top 10. He's a first round corner. I think he has like 1 or 2 picks. 1, maybe 2. I mean, again, we're talking about the value. And the value is if you do not have a quarterback or look for one, you're in trouble. I said on UCSS, you know what I would do? I take one every year. Matter of fact, I take 2 in this draft. I take one with the 2nd pick, and then I'll go and draft one in the 4th or the 3rd. People say, dog, you crazy. Guess who did that before? That's what the Washington Commanders did. They took RG3, traded up to get him, all them picks, and guess in the 4th round who they took? Kirk Cousins. You see, the Browns, we say what we want to do and all that good stuff, but you are never going to ever get out of this purgatory unless you get a mentality and a mind state that we must take risk and we must find a quarterback. I know a lot of y'all is gun shy. We just gave up these picks for Deshaun Watson and it didn't work. It was the worst trade. Now we're going to force a quarterback. listen, if you don't have one, you're getting fired anyway. You think Abdul Carter, if you won 3 games with Myles Garrett, how many games you gonna win if Myles Garrett in there and Abdul Carter is there? 2? Fired. And the thing that we continually do here, and I don't know whether it's they sold us on this blue collar mentality and we're gonna run the ball and pound this and we're gonna keep it close to the vest, and that don't work no more, fellas. Stop all of that. Every single year we get into the same argument. Where's your weapons at? You need to score the football. Where's your quarterback at? Where's your second receiver? Where's your vertical game? Where's your explosiveness behind? Like, what is it? We do it every year. But yet and still, we don't hear nothing about no risk. I would even respect it if people was like this. Give me Travis Hunter. You know why? It's 2 positions for one. He's the best receiver. And at least we can put him with Jerry Jeudy. And if you want to run a retread out there, they at least have some weapons. You don't even hear Travis Hunter's name. You know why? We are allergic to offense. We are allergic to it. Allergic. Like we feel like it's a bad thing to have receivers get 1,000 yards. It's horrible it's just, I don't know, the conservative nature of what we talk about all the time. It's just wild to me. It's wild to me. So you don't even hear Travis Hunter's name. You hear, let's take Mason Graham or let's take a defensive lineman or a left tackle. And that mentality has gotten you where? You had the best left tackle in the world for 10 years. Never missed a snap. And guess what happened? Joe Thomas never went to the playoffs. Because guess why? Didn't have a quarterback, boys and girls. It's not that difficult. It's just not. It ain't. Maybe y'all got a rebuttal. We'll get to the comments. We're going to throw this in the comment section here. 1,100 people in here. Hit the like button. Super chat question. Let me take this down first. Super chat question. This is an easy one. Who would you take at number 2? I've given you the case for the problem with Abdul Carter. Again, I'm not saying Abdul Carter won't be a dynamic player. Not saying Abdul Carter is garbage. I'm not saying none of the above. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. What I am saying to you is, it's not about him as a player. It's about the value. And for many people, I think they value the position of defensive end and line a ton. They matter. Yes, they do. When you have a quarterback. But void or without a quarterback, those positions are meaningless, to be honest with you. They're meaningless. He can't touch the ball. They can literally run away from him. Abdul Carter's over here. Let him get double teamed. It's what happens to Myles Garrett. Let him double team him over there. We'll run away from him. And if you can't score points and your defense is on the field all the time, what good is lineman? It just doesn't make sense. So super chat. Listen, who do you want to take at number 2? Let's get to some of these comments. Let's get to them. All right, let's go. Felonious Monk. I like the name. Pat proved something in the Super Bowl. If your team can't run and your offensive tackles are getting beat on the first step, it doesn't matter what your name is. You're gonna stink at quarterback. They look like the Browns. Let's talk about this. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, right? They got the break speed off of them. And yes, the defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles was lights out. I thought the Philadelphia Eagles overall, in terms of their game plan, had a better overall game plan on offense, better overall game plan on defense, more physical, and they just looked shell-shocked. They came in and punched them right in the mouth in the first quarter, got them up all the way up out of here. The game was not even close. More of what I'm talking about in terms of the quarterback and the value of the position is is what I'm articulating is if you don't have at least a top tier, top 10 type, top 15 type quarterback, you won't even sniff the Super Bowl. You won't even be in contention. Now, once you get there and you're playing against another top flight quarterback like, Pat Mahomes did, and another great team, anything can happen. They got great defensive players over there. They got good offensive players over there. They just happen to win. It is what it is. But what I'm talking about is lower on the food chain, different from the Cleveland Browns. See, it's cool to say that, but you got to understand that the Chiefs and the Browns are not in the same category. There's levels to this. The Chiefs defense, they got Chris Jones. They got ball players. They got a defense, right? Pat Mahomes, they got receivers. They got DeAndre Hopkins. They got a bunch of different people, right? But the Browns, they're devoid of everything. And so the question is, during a rebuild in which we're doing right now, especially if they go ahead and trade Myles Garrett, the question you have to answer yourself is, what's the most important building block for starting a franchise? And I'll give you this, Felonious. When the Browns tanked, right, and got Myles Garrett in 2017, they drafted a Hall of Fame player. They hit a home run with that. However, if you was to redraft that class, the correct pick was Patrick Mahomes. Look at the trajectory. Quarterback is always going to outdo defensive ends. It just is what it is. Even if one of the defensive ends is one of the greats. If you do it over, if the Cleveland Browns were smart, they would draft Patrick Mahomes. Myles Garrett is a great player, but what I'm talking about and preaching comes down to value. I'm watching Shedeur throw double covered bombs and wide receiver making circus catches just like Johnny Manziel. If you're comparing Johnny Manziel to Shedeur Sanders, I don't know if you got all 22, fam. I'm just had to call that out. If you're watching regular highlight tapes of Travis Hunter going to get the football, yeah, he's gonna make some plays. But there's times where when you're watching the all 22, Shedeur Sanders is getting hit right in the mouth and delivering footballs with anticipation in small windows. Go back. I'm gonna give you some homework. Go watch Chase Daniels' evaluation on Shedeur Sanders. Go watch Chris Sims' evaluation on Shedeur Sanders. And finally, it just came out a couple of days ago. Go watch, who was it? Go watch Todd McShay's evaluation on Shedeur Sanders. He talks about him being the best pure passer in this draft. And he talks about some of the throws that he didn't even really, he kind of didn't see in the beginning, but there's some throws that are big time in there. So go back and watch those evaluations. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. Grass and Bass. Anyone scared about drafting the quarterback has been brainwashed into thinking the quarterback is not a for sure thing. You can't draft him in the first round. Here's the thing that I always get when it comes to the quarterback situation. And people leave this out of the equation a lot. Everybody wants to what responsibility do we really place on our coaching in front office? It seems as if the front office and the coaching staff get all the praise, but none of the downside. Like, we draft the quarterback. When you draft the quarterback, you have to put players around him. You have to create a scheme to really maximize what he's good at. You got to coach him up. You got to be hands-on. You got to develop people. What happened to development? It just seems like people want, hey, let me get me a John Elway. Come in right out. Let me get me a Marino. Is there an Andrew Luck in this draft? People want all of these guys to come in and just be great, dynamic right now. Oh, this is great. We'll never have a problem with this. We got so-and-so and so-and-so. Nah, man. What role does your coaching staff have? Kevin Stefanski don't got to do nothing. Kevin Stefanski got to have a perfect quarterback build before he's good. And here's the thing I give you about Kevin Stefanski, and we can talk about this and refute what I'm saying. I've always asked, what exactly makes Kevin Stefanski a great coach? What exactly are the traits and characteristics of Kevin Stefanski and his football teams that make him a great coach? I'll wait. Who has he developed? His communication is horrible. We know his communication with Baker Mayfield was terrible. They eventually stopped even talking. Wouldn't return his phone calls. Communication with Deshaun Watson, horrible. He let Deshaun Watson do all kind of other different stuff nobody else on the team could do. His communication with star players is bad. His communication with players with big personalities is bad. His communication with DTR was horrible. DTR didn't even know when he was playing. Just woke up, came in, just showed up. Ha ha! You're playing today against the Ravens? How you not give your kid, your young quarterback, an opportunity to understand what's going on? Communication was horrible with Jameis Winston. Deshaun Watson goes down. Jameis Winston is the quarterback that same week. He gives play calling to Dorsey. Jameis Winston goes to him confused. Hey, man, look, I came here to have you call the plays. I'm kind of taken aback. What's going on here? It can't be the win-loss record. Can't be the win-loss record. You're under 500. Is it they're one of the most penalized teams? What is it? You haven't put 2 years together back to back. How many playoff wins you got? When you start to have to break it down and actually have to articulate some of this stuff, it don't look like it. G. Bush, we ain't taking a quarterback at 2. Hey, listen. If Kevin Stefanski don't want to do it, that is what it is. Y'all ain't got to take no quarterback at 2. Don't do it. Here's what I'm going to tell you, though. If you don't win 8, 9, 10 games, y'all getting fired. It's easy for you to sit here and say that. Very easy. We ain't taking no quarterback at 2. Okay. Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, y'all might want to figure it out. John Lindell, do you agree with Nathan Zagur that we have to take a quarterback too? Even if he turns out to be a bust without a franchise quarterback, we go nowhere. Listen, thank you very much. Let's get to this. I mentioned that earlier. If you were to take, and so let me give you this. This isn't a new thing. When the Cardinals drafted Josh Rosen in the top 10, he played 1 year and was terrible. Guess what happened? The next year, Kyler Murray was coming out. They traded Josh Rosen in 1 year and drafted Kyler Murray number 1 overall. This isn't something new, guys. I would take a quarterback until I hit. Okay? Baker wasn't it. You decided you didn't like him. Deshaun Watson flamed out. Decided it wasn't him. You tried to find out if Jameis Winston can be a bridge quarterback to kind of, couple of years here or there, win you some games. You found out that wasn't it. You had DTR on the roster. You put him in at the end of the year. You found out he wasn't it. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep drafting quarterbacks till I figure it out. I'm going to take one this year. I'm going to take 2, matter of fact. And we're going to find out. Because regardless, you're already rebuilding. I don't understand what you guys don't get about that. You're trying to fit a scenario and trying to figure something out, which we've already seen. We've already seen the Cleveland Browns go 1-31. We saw what they did. They drafted, you drafted Myles Garrett. And as great as Myles Garrett has been, you had no quarterback. They haven't done anything. You lost games earlier in Joe Thomas's career. As great as Joe Thomas is, a Hall of Famer, guess what? You didn't have a quarterback. You lost. Now we want to go back to do the same thing. Let me get Abdul Carter or wherever the case may be. No. I'm not doing it. I'm going to find a quarterback. If Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward ain't it, whatever the case may be, cool. I'll come back and do it again next year. And if that don't work, I'll come back and do it. Because that is the game we play. I know it's a high-stakes game. But look what other people have done and are doing. When Alex Smith was taking the Kansas City Chiefs to the playoffs, and Andy Reid said it ain't good enough and they got Mahomes. You think about it. Russell Wilson, this is a different. I'm going to get off this topic here in a second because I'm going to get to some Cavs. I'm going to get some Cavs and I'm going to show you the difference in levels. The difference between you and us, the Browns fandom in Pittsburgh and other places is this. Guess what Pittsburgh's going to do? I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. Pittsburgh is going to let all these other dudes in front of them play around. And they got Russell Wilson, right? If Russell Wilson had done what he did in Cleveland, what he did in Pittsburgh, we'd be sitting here talking about why can't we re-sign him? Because he got us to the playoffs. But you know what the Steelers going to do? They're going to say, no, that ain't good enough for what we're trying to do. We're trying to win that trophy. They're going to go out and try to find the best opportunity to get them a quarterback. And I'm going to tell you what, watch out for Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart will not go in the second round. I'm going to tell you that right now. Jackson Dart will be in the first round, boys and girls. Quarterbacks always rise. This is nothing new. Go back and watch. Do you see what the Denver Broncos did? Did you see what they did? Bo Nix wasn't on nobody's list, but you know what they figured out? We cannot do it if we don't got a quarterback. And you know what? They found somebody, evaluated, and took him. It's the blueprint is out there for you guys. But unless you want to continue to have these seasons where we're talking in circles about why we don't have a quarterback, you don't get a quarterback unless you got some skin in the game. Got to. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you. They don't want to listen, G. Bush. Remember when they was calling Wembley the best defensive end they've seen in years? What happened? Listen, keep talking that talk. See, I'm old enough to remember when you drafted Courtney Brown. What did that do? Remember Barkevius Mingo at 6? We're not going to talk about Cam Wembley. Remember when they took Cam Irving and Danny Shelton? You had 2 first-round picks in a draft, and these idiots came up, literally pulled up and said, give me a center that can't play center and give me a nose tackle that's a one-down player. Danny Shelton and Cam Irving. This is why I don't understand why people just, these talking points be wild, man. I draft the nose tackle every year. How did Perion Winfrey work out? What about Siaki Ika? We've been drafting defensive tackle every week. Tommy Togiai. I mean, we just got Mike Hall Jr. We just got Zach Zinner with our pick last year. Don't look like he could play either. Come on, man. Stop. This is a great one, man. I actually thought Corey Coleman was going to be a wide receiver number 1. Digman Freud, I like the name too. Yeah. Shout out to Corey Coleman. Corey Coleman was on the UCSS, man. He has some issues, saying he opened about some mental health situations after he stopped playing. But I thought he was going to be one of them dudes too. I thought during that time period, remember, here's another one. Y'all remember Terrell Pryor? Terrell Pryor for that 1 year when they had Hugh Jackson and RG3. Boy, that team was one of the worst teams I've ever seen. But for 1 year, Terrell Pryor is all we had, bro. That's all we had. He was running Wildcat. Dude had 1,000 yards. I thought they was going to re-sign him. He should have took that deal. I think they offered him like 4 years, $32 million. He turned it down. eventually went to the Commanders, played for I think for the Jets a little bit, but I thought that receiving core of Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, and your boy Terrell Pryor was going to be lit. All right, G's point is their opinion. G's point is their opinion isn't that educated. They can just be pessimistic about most guys and be right more times than not. That's not being an expert, in my opinion. Finally, somebody gets it. All I'm trying to do is thank you, Trill Hill 7714. Finally, somebody is picking up what I'm trying to put down. The reality of the situation is this. When people keep saying, and this is the thing that I was trying to combat, when people keep saying there aren't any quarterbacks in this draft, it's patently ridiculous. When you aren't, when you're in the general public, you're counting on people to give you accurate information so that you can base a decision on something. And what's happened is we give people a guru status and tell us, hey, what should I think? And because there's a group of individuals that have been put there in a position, they trickle down this thought process that stops you from critically thinking. If you're going to tell me, how am I going to take your word that there's no quarterbacks in this draft and they're not worth taking, when the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks that are currently living today have been maligned and talked about like they were garbage, that they weren't good, that they were very like they had all kind of, like, who cares if you hit on a defensive tackle or offensive tackle? Most offensive tackle play is subjective anyway. Go look at the wild differences between PFF scores. But when you come back and you tell me, and go back and rewind this clip, because I'll go back over a lot of names. When somebody says that Josh Allen his highest level is a poor man's Baker Mayfield, then I can't talk. You trying to tell me about Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward? If you can't get Mahomes right, if you can't get Lamar Jackson right, if you can't get Jalen Hurts right, what makes me feel like I'm just going to come up here and be like, yep, yeah, whatever he said. Ain't nobody in this draft, bro. Nobody. No one in the draft. The new John the Baptist dude's on fire, man. I'll be telling you, they be acting like they tell you generational type player. That boy ain't won nothing. That dude, listen, Trevor Lawrence ain't won a thing. Tell me about your generational type players. What's this? All right, let's draft a reach quarterback at 2. When they suck, let's blow it all up and trade everyone yet again and waste the talent, live in the basement for the next decade or 2. No, here's what I'm saying, Just Cam. You not taking the quarterback cost you to blow it up to start with. You don't understand that. We are here at the precipice of losing Myles Garrett because you don't have a quarterback. Because you aren't developing talent. You drafted Myles Garrett. You went 1-31 so you can have the right to draft him. You drafted a defensive end. And then you bungled the bag. You had another opportunity to get a franchise quarterback when you took Baker. Other teams took Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Then you said he wasn't good enough to play. He then goes to Tampa Bay and he's a Pro Bowler. You fumbled the bag. Deshaun Watson, we all know that's been greatly, we've already talked about it. It's greatly already been thrown out there. We know, we get it, we understand. But guess what? At the end of the day, you missed on that too. So now they've given you another year. You've gone 3-14. Now I don't want to hear anything about no quarterbacks because now you have to pick your quarterback. Don't give me an excuse that Baker Mayfield was Dorsey's pick. Don't give me an excuse that at circumstances was Deshaun Watson. It was a group effort. We wanted Deshaun. No, Here's what you're going to do, Kevin. You're going to call the plays. You're going to go and stand on a podium, and you're going to get a quarterback in this draft. If they don't want to get it at 2, they better have it at 2, at number 2 overall. The second round is available, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. I don't care what it is. You're going to get that quarterback, and you're going to develop him. And if you want a veteran, you're going to get him, and you're going to make him better. The ball's in your court. All of I'm tired of everybody getting fired, but the guy. It's Van Pelt's fault. It's Ken Dorsey's fault. It's Odell Beckham Jr.'s fault. It's Baker Mayfield's fault. It was Deshaun Watson's problem. DTR wasn't ready to go. It was COVID. I couldn't get my plays together. Baker wouldn't return our calls. It's everybody but you, bro. At some point, you gonna have to deal with it. And ain't no such thing as a reach. You're gonna have to coach somebody up. Let's get to my next comment. Let's get to my next joint. I want to get to this as we roll. We got about the show's been going fast, man. Still got 40 more minutes to get on in here. Go ahead, hit that like button for your boy. Barbershop, if you're just pulling up, if you're new to the show, every single Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., what we try to do over here, we try to bring you some hot topics. We try to bring you some different multimedia. We'll try to bounce ideas, and we'll try to give you some different thought processes as we go through this thing. So I want to appreciate every 1,300 people in here on a Saturday is a beautiful thing. If you're on Facebook, I appreciate you. Follow me. If you're on YouTube, the Barbershop Clan, we appreciate, and UCSS as well, and on Twitter. Make sure you hit the like button and share this content as well. I got a nice little, this is something I want to get to. This is, when you talk about it, let's go over, where we at? We won't do that. Let's get to this. So, the Browns come out with a proposal for the stadium. Right? Financial proposal, how they're going to pay for it. And I'm a guy that likes to think outside of the box a little bit. I like to think about, the levers that are being pushed and pulled in order to get things done. And as I sit here and as I watch the whole situation with the Brook Park move, I really feel like this is more of a bigger national type. It's bigger than just a stadium. And to me, this is about the redistribution of wealth in America. And I'm going to tell a little story here. We got a little time, so hang in, follow along with me, and I'm going to tie it together because a lot of times y'all be, G. Bush, what are you talking about? We're going to tie this in together. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's first throw up what the tax plan is, but first and foremost, let's go ahead and listen to Jason Lloyd. We talked about this on UCSS and his thoughts on the way the Browns are going about funding this particular project, the stadium in Brook Park.
First of all, nobody rents cars anymore. Facts. So why are we doing? I don't love some of those projections and totals. First of all, nobody rents cars anymore. Facts. So why are we doing $6 increase on rental cars when Uber and Lyft have taken over? I mean, people still rent cars, but go ask Hertz and Avis how many of their fleets they've sold off in recent years because people just don't rent cars anymore. And you're dealing with a lot of projections there on hotel rooms, on the bed tax, on that sort of thing. The admission tax is fine. That goes to people that are using the facilities. I personally still am a proponent for DeWine's plan. I like what Mike DeWine rolled out, where it was taxing gambling money. I wrote about this 2 years ago. When gambling was first legalized in Ohio, the tax rate was 10%, and I said increase it to 13 or 15%, use that 3 to 5% to fund all of these facilities across the state. And DeWine went way further than that, which I love. And they've already, since I wrote that, initially they've increased it from 10 to 20. They've already doubled it. He wants to double it 50, again, right? To 40. He wants 40. To take it to 40. 20 to 40%,
and that's on the gambling companies, not the consumer, right?
That's on the gambling companies. Now the companies will probably find a way to pass it on to the bettors, but still, you're taxing the people that are actually using the facility. Ohioans spent over $8 billion in gambling last year. That was the handle in Ohio. In November alone, it was over $1 billion placed on sports bets in the state of Ohio. Ohio's like 5th in sports
We
gambling.
got degenerates, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, obviously, it's who you would think is at the top. It's Nevada, it's New York, it's New Jersey, Pennsylvania are all clearly ahead of Ohio, and then Michigan and Ohio are pretty close in the gambling. But this is where, to me, this is where it's at. And DeWine's already getting a lot of pushback on it from both legislatures, and the Haslam seemed to push it to the side yesterday. They want to see more information on it. I think it makes perfect sense. I think that's the route to go. I like that much more. And Mike's right. Mike DeWine told Cleveland.com that he wants to use real cash and not bonds to pay for it. And I think that's right, because if the bonds fall short, bonds you're talking about projections. Like, you're projecting this amount of money. Well, guess what happens when those projections fall short? It falls on the public.
Shout out to Jason Lloyd. He did a really good job of breaking that down a little bit. So let's look at what the Haslams and the financial organization has put forward. So what the Browns want from the Brook Park in Cuyahoga County, and we'll read this. As for the local share, the Browns are proposing that the county issue $600 million in bonds with county sources covering payments for $178 million of the borrowing of the Brook Park sources covering the remaining $422 million. Here's how they would propose to do it. There's an increase in the bed tax from 6.5% to 7.5%, with the new money earmarked for the stadium. The county's bed tax on hotel rooms was last increased from 5.5% to 6.5% in 2019 to free up money, in part for Progressive Field, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the induction ceremonies. A county authorized fee of $6 per rental car. And Jason kind of talked about this. Guys, people aren't renting cars like that anymore. You go to Hertz or, Avis or wherever to go. Those guys are selling off their car fleets because of Uber and Lyft, some of those different places that offer more economical ways to get around, especially when you're talking about in airports in a larger major city. So a $6 rental fee was county authorized. This is what they're proposing, like the bed tax that Browns say this spreads out the cost to visitors to the region instead of it falling mostly on the Cuyahoga County residents, increasing the Brook Park admission tax from 3.5% to 6.5%. This will be the largest contribution from Brook Park, and the Browns point out a user tax. So people who use the facility, they would be taxed at that rate. Money from the Brook Park parking tax. Some 12,000 to 13,000 parking spaces are planned for the stadium. And diversion back to the project city income taxes generated from players, staff, and other workers. Now, really quickly, let's go over what it is that Mike DeWine wants in terms of how to pay for these. And Jason alluded to this. Basically, he wants to use the funding from gambling, which, has been raking in billions since gambling became legal in Ohio. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine announced his plan to fund Ohio sports stadiums ahead of his budget bill. It will promise funding to Cleveland Browns owners Jimmy Haslam, and Haslam desperately searched for it. Governor DeWine proposed a House Bill 96, an executive budget for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. Legislation plans to create a sports facility construction and sports education fund. The funds would be generated by doubling the state's tax on sports gambling. The proposal estimates of the fund would grow by $130 to $180 million annually. The fund would help finance major sports facilities and professional sports facilities that would need at least $100 million in renovations or $1 billion for new construction. It also allows for additional mixed-use development projects. Teams must commit to playing most of their home games at the location for at least 30 years. So the Haslam Group seeks up to 60% of public funding from the Brook Park Stadium project. The mixed-use project would feature hotels, stores, restaurants, and a domed stadium. And the park is expected to cost $2.4 billion. The organization has been in early stages of a legal fight of the team, announced with moving from the lakefront in Cleveland, using all of his legal power to keep the team playing inside the city limits. The team is determined to play in Brook Park. Governor DeWine's budget could help smooth things out over the Haslam family and to keep the Browns in Ohio. The legislation could help a lot of sports franchises stay in Ohio. The bill will need to be passed by the Ohio House and the Senate for it to take place. Now, here's to give you a little bit of if it goes to the House, Now, Mike DeWine is a Republican. I believe the Ohio House and the Ohio Senate is Republican owned or Republican majority. I believe the city is mainly Democratic leadership. So if this thing does go to a vote, I'm willing to be wagered that Jimmy Haslam will come out on top on this one. Actually, to be truthful, I think this thing is totally inevitable. I think this is a foregone conclusion, and it got me to thinking about something. As we talk about this, it got me to thinking about this, fellas, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that this is more than what is meets the eye. This is more than just about the stadium and moving it. One of the things that dawned on me is this is a new reallocation and redistribution of wealth in America. If you go back to the COVID, right? You go back to COVID. One of the things that happened where, people got evicted, people got foreclosed, and there was multiple institutions that came in and bought up all the land. They bought up all the housing. And, people's net worth went through the roof during COVID because they capitalized on the chaos in the market. And one thing that I've always been fascinated with in America is the abandoned malls, abandoned places, and different things like that. And Ohio has a disproportionate share of abandoned malls. You take a look at Chapel Hill, you take a look at Randall Park Mall, Rolling Acres, Tower City, the Galleria, all of these places that are just ghost towns where just 20 years ago they were piping full of people and it was vibrant. And in a larger sense, shopping and real estate and commercial stuff has been on a decline. And so I found this podcast, and I think they're on to something. And I'll be able to tie this in. This is this is the BD podcast. And I don't agree with everything he says, but I take a look at a lot of different podcasts to kind of formulate some of my ideas and just to keep myself in what's going on socially and what's going on economically. And he had a very interesting point in his podcast. His point was that commercial real estate may be a thing of the past. And commercial real estate is something that we all have dealt with because when COVID happened, we all went back home. And, now commercial real estate is going through one of the biggest crises in it's ever been, because now you have a bunch of people with these renovated office spaces that nobody will rent. You have people after COVID, shopping malls and different places where people would go. Now people can't, pay rent in the malls. Malls are foreclosing on mortgages. So now we're at a position where the commercial real estate market is going through a downturn. And when we get back, I'm going to tie this into how I think this thing plays, how this thing plays specifically for the Cleveland Browns, and why ultimately all of the regular people are the losers in this. So let's check this out. This is courtesy of the PBD podcast.
Decline during COVID. Yeah. So commercial real estate, obviously, there was a major decline during COVID. Yeah. But residential, major boom. Maybe what's the typical correlation and where is it at today is sort of where I'm at.
So so go to that story. That's actually a good story to go into. So like, for example, this one building we're looking at, right? This building in February of 2020, which is what? Right before COVID.
Yeah, the month before.
They spent $250 per square feet to upgrade a 300,000 square foot building. So how much is that? 250 times 300,000 is how much of an upgrade? The cost. Oh my! That's a $75 million investment to do upgrades. Jeez. Okay,
and they did it right. It's a great building.
It's an incredible.
What's the building's price before all this, Pat?
No, hang on. Let him keep, I interrupted.
It's a $90 million, let's say, building. Okay. They fixed this thing up, 300,000 square feet. Looks amazing, beautiful facility, gym. What do you call it? Cafeteria, all this stuff. It's just a ridiculous setup, right? The company's nearly a $4 billion company. To them, $75 million, it is money, but it's not like we got to make the upgrades.
Timing is important.
Yeah,
they really screwed
that's
that
the problem.
Yep.
So you signed a contract and COVID hits.
Oh, God.
Now everybody's working from home. Now, when you go into this facility and you look at the entire building, half the building is empty.
Yeah.
People have been working from home during COVID. You're sitting there saying, what the hell do we do with this building? We want to get this thing off our balance sheet. They don't want this building, nor do they need this building.
Yeah.
Okay, with where they're at. And somebody bought them out, some $16, $17 billion company bought this building out, and they're sitting there saying, what do we do now? This is case study that's happening right now. And by the way, this has happened across the board. There's another building here down the street, 200,000 square foot building, okay, office space. Just 3 years ago, it was rented 90%, so 200,000 square feet was rented 90%, okay? It's the Kaplan building. It's a Kaplan, you know Kaplan School.
I've seen it, yeah.
This is their headquarters. Today, it's pretty much empty. And when I tell you empty, I'm like, maybe it's rented 25, 50%. From 100%, 90% to now 25 to 50%, how are you collecting mortgage payments now? You're not. And this is in a market that's attracting businesses, meaning we're not talking about San Francisco right here, this building right here.
Wow.
193,000 square foot building, okay? We're not talking about a, San Francisco or Chicago or New York or any of those markets. Cream of the crop, Florida, that people are moving to, empty buildings, Class A, beautiful buildings, sitting empty. There's only one, the Malls of America. Yeah,
right.
There's only one of that. It's a very big investment for them to make. Some of them, it depends on the market you're in. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? But the business model is going away. So the business model of commercial real estate may be going away unless if companies find ways to get people. Like for me, I'm always going to be an in-office guy. I'm always going to be that guy. I'm running companies. I think culture, people got to be around each other, right, to do that. But we have the predictive, AI guys that are typically quiet guys that want to be by themselves. They don't have to be in a building.
Yep.
They actually don't want to be around a lot of other people sometimes. They have a different wiring on where they want to be. To that world, things are going to change a lot. So this commercial real estate deal on what direction it's going to go the next 6, 12, 18 months, it may be as permanent as newspapers. Just maybe.
So, listen, there's a lot to unpack there. And one of the things, and we'll get to it, the thesis, what I'm trying to say is, when you take a look at the way the trends are moving right now, a lot of malls and a lot of big infrastructure and commercial properties are vacant right now. Why? Malls lose anchor stores. The anchor stores are your Targets, your Walmarts, your Sears, places that people want to go, that draw in mass groups of people, and put your shop right by the Target and the anchor stores. Now you get walk up. Now you get a bunch of traffic generated by the people who want to go to your anchor stores. And when an anchor store goes out, guess what happens? Ain't no reason for me to go to the mall. The anchor store ain't there. You lose walk up. You can't pay for rent. Malls close. What the Haslam's realized was sports in the COVID era and sports moving forward past COVID, that is the only anchor that is not affected by the economy. Let me give you a point. The ultimate anchor store is the Cleveland Browns. Why? Because the Cleveland Browns are a religion. The Cleveland Browns are an institution. It's the only place where economics does not matter. If you are a diehard Cleveland Browns fan and you love the Browns, it's a religion. It is where you go to congregate. That is the new mall. The Browns games, the Muni lot, that's the mall. As long as the Browns are the anchor, you will always spend money. So the Haslam's figured it out and said, listen, why don't we do this? Why do we want to be downtown where there's a bunch of abandoned buildings? There is, the thought of a homeless population, no other attractions besides the Cleveland Browns there. And we don't technically own any of that anyway. How's about we move it to the suburbs? We can eliminate the crime. We can eliminate the thought of poverty, and we can eliminate a bunch of things. We can get them to pay for it, and we own everything. We own the buildings. We own the stadium. We own we own the ground. We own the hotels. We own the restaurants. And we own that forever. My descendants would have this. And it's a trend in America. The trend in America is, as we continue to go on, the billionaires continue to get rich. They continue to, and they find new creative ways to do it. I think the PBD podcast hit on something. Commercial real estate is on the way out. No longer do you have different big buildings, big places where people are going to congregate and make people come back to work. That isn't it. Big office spaces that have been renovated, nice buildings, great buildings, nice office space, downtown, other places. Guess what? Why would the Haslam's want their shiny new stadium in a place with a bunch of abandoned buildings? And that brings me back to the point that I think the city does not understand. I think the city has a point, and they have a point to fight for the Cleveland Browns, because just like in malls, when you lose your anchor store, it's only you're on life support at that point. It's only a matter of time. The Guardians don't have a big enough draw to keep people downtown. The Cavs, bless their hearts, they're the best team in the city right now, but they do not have enough people, unless you got a LeBron, to keep people downtown and keep that money infused and keep bars and restaurants and all these things open. The Cleveland Browns are a holiday every single Sunday for 8 or 9 weeks during the year. They're blocking the streets off. The people is ready to go. The muni lot is jumping. But if you lose that anchor store, you lose your Target, you lose your Walmart, your Sears, your Dillard's, the Macy's, you're done. Mayor Bibb understands that right now, today. And so when you look at it, it's not just the Cleveland Browns are moving. They've moved demographics on y'all. They done moved socioeconomics status on y'all. And what's going to happen to the regular fan is you'll be priced out just like it happens with all the rest of the big business in America. Capitalism is great until somebody with all the money figure out that, yeah, I can keep all of this. They're pricing the regular guys out. You'll never get a ticket. Ticket's $3,000, right? But that's the way they want it. Don't think that they want it to be affordable. No. They want the guy, the executives and the guys making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, right? They want them to come down, and they want the village to jump. And if you ain't got that type of money, they're gonna kind of make it kind of difficult for you to get down there. They want affluent people that are getting off at Hopkins Airport, staying at the Ritz-Carlton, and they're going to keep that as all, that's going to be one facility. That's going to be one beautiful area. They're going to, the hotels, they're going to have the amusement parks. They're going to have a whole Haslam family circus down there. But those dudes that's waving that brown and orange, y'all better get used to that YouTube TV. You ain't going to have the funds for that. And it's a shame because there was always an opportunity for them to do that in Cleveland. But unfortunately, people drag their feet. People don't create the infrastructure. And 9 times out of 10, most politicians just do a lot of talking, no action. You knew good and well that was an underpar stadium. You knew good and well that the Haslam's was going around buying up stuff. You knew what downtown looked like after COVID hit. Where's the redevelopment? Where you don't even have enough tax base to do a lot of this stuff. So my question to you is, are you one of those people that will continue to go to the new stadium? Do you have the resources to do so? And do you agree that this is going to end up pricing a lot of regular people out of an opportunity to still continue to go with the Browns? Because for me, I look at it economically. I think the new move is there's like 5 or 6 people that control 90% of the wealth in this country. And this is just another fact of where we are going. And it's just a product of the times that we live in. We'll get to it. Let's get to your comments. Let me scroll down here and see what y'all got. I got a lot of comments in here, man. Let's get to the latest one. This is crazy. 1,500 people here, almost 1,600. Hit me the like button. Hit the like button for me. Hit the like button for me. There's so many in here. We're gonna get too many as I can. Master Moshi. Yep, they shifted the fan base. Let's see. Haslam's are trying to achieve something that Art Mobidel's was trying to do when he moved the team. I agree with that. The OU ICE is my hero. They need to convert some of those commercial to residential. I think that is the move. If you're talking economically, if you want to move from commercial, there's a lot of people with, the big malls and different places. They've been revitalizing those places as small community hubs. You see gyms, you see churches, you see residential areas. And I think Tremont is a great example of what they've done to kind of turn parking lots and undesirable neighborhoods, so to speak, into something that young professionals that are younger, that are professionals who work downtown like. So Tremont is a perfect example of that. Let's see. Vincent says the stadium was the draw for the area, just like the ocean and surrounding destinations. I think too, the biggest draw was the stadium. And when you didn't get that, they should have moved Burt Airport. They should have moved that a long time ago. But again, billionaires and the millionaires use that airport. But the way that highway is structured with the shoreline, it's just very difficult logistically to do some of that stuff. It just is, man. I got a super chat here. We appreciate your super chat. Sapper Daddy, what's up, my guy? Billionaires will always find ways that the common man to pay for their own business ventures. Hate it if you want. It is what it is. I think, and I think the thing with sports is that when this has become a religion, you could be mad at the billionaires and the millionaires, but guess what still happens? We still find a way at the end of the day to support those businesses because it's engraved in our DNA. And I think that owners take a big time advantage of that. Tony Soprano says AB should be fired ASAP. It'd be funny because people just be jumping in. The stream is long. Well, that's what I found out about the stream. The stream is so long that people are at different places and they just chat. So we appreciate you, man. And we want to thank you for taking time to listen to the barbershop. We got one more topic, but before we do, make sure if you're new to the channel, hit the like button for me. It's totally free. If you are on the barbershop YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. UCSS, I see you out there. Twitter, make sure you follow me. Facebook, shoot me a DM, follow me as well. So we appreciate you guys rocking and rolling with me. We got 15 minutes left. We want to get to a Cavs topic as well. So we all over the place. We make it do what it do. Let's get to this. So let's get to Cavaliers. The Cavs are a great representation of what Project Stockpile is. The Ringer came out with a top 100 ranking, and the Cavaliers now have 5 players in the top 100. DeAndre Hunter was not ranked before the season. Mid-season, he's at 91. Jared Allen at 58. Evan Mobley and Darius Garland are in 20s. And the highest rated player for the Cavs is at number 12, Donovan Mitchell. And so the Cavs are a great example of what it is, what it looks like to be all in on Project Stockpile. Project Stockpile is what I call it's your ticket to admission. Project Stockpile does not make it so that you are going to guarantee that you're going to win anything. It's the ticket, though. It's the price to admission. If you want to be known as a champion, you want to be known as a contender, you better have multiple pieces, multiple parts, and not be afraid to go for it. So let's take a look at this conversation. And by the way, We've been talking about this all year. The Cavs don't get no recognition. Cavs don't get recognition. Cavs don't get this. Why is the national media? Nah, guys. After this DeAndre Hunter move, a lot of people in the national media speaking out, saying that the Cavs is lethal right now. This is on KG's podcast, Kevin Garnett. He was with Matt Barnes, and they were talking about just how devastatingly good the Cavs are going to be and hard to beat going in the second half of the season. This is courtesy of KG's podcast.
Deadline that was pretty big. Another trade at the deadline that was pretty big was the Cleveland Cavaliers getting DeAndre Hunter.
This was the steal of the
19 a game, leading the league in scoring off the bench.
Come on, man.
They got a wing they were looking for.
You talking about a secret weapon, dog? You know, like, I don't think people know who DeAndre is, bro, because he's been in Atlanta and he's, for some reason, you know, overshadowed or whatever, because, you know, Trey does so many dope shit, right, and he keeps it so, Trey, he keeps it so cold, right?
Don't he?
Shout to Ice, man.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? But, man, when I saw this, bro, man, listen,
this was a steal of the trade
man,
for
listen, Cleveland Cavaliers won the trade. The Cavs are in the conversation.
Yes.
And it is a serious threat, bro. If he can do if he does what he did in Atlanta, bring into the situation.
20 points, 5 rebounds a game, or nearly 20 points.
You got to play him, bro.
Athletic, you know.
And he a mean guy, too, dog. He ain't no, like, pushover. He's a two-way player. And, bro, when you go to switch now, I think one of the things Cleveland had problems with when it came to the Celtics, obviously the Porzingis element makes you so. When you go him and Cornette, and they go big, man, Porzingis at the free throw line is damn near like Joel Embiid. Like, it's you damn near are at his mercy. And if you give him any room to get it off, it's damn near 8 to 10 that he can hit those. You feel me? Now, bro, Hunter ain't Hunter is not a Lord, I love.
What's he, 6'9", 6'10"?
Yeah.
But he a dog.
Yeah.
My mind came on. You gotta love KG. He's a dog, though. Man, I am telling you right now, this is what I love about Project Stockpile. This is what I love about it. Let me show this. This is what I love about Project Stockpile. This man, DeAndre Hunter, this is game against Toronto, was not playing with fools. Let's bring that back. Bring that back. I want y'all to see that. The thing I love about his game is this man came out of nowhere and was not playing around. Look how aggressive he is, right? Like, usually when you start to play with a new team, you kind of feeling your way in trying to figure out where you go. You don't want to ruffle no feathers. You just want to kind of play defense and hustle. Nah, I love his mentality. He said, hold up. Let me talk to you real quick. Check him out. Nah, bro, I'm out here to work. Get up off me. I'm to the rack. Finish over the top. Man, come on. You see the size, the length. Size, length, man. You know, I just look. I just love the way I'm coming off the screen ready to shoot. Yeah, go. I'm coming ready to shoot. Stop playing with me. Hand down, man down. Too late. Bang. What are you talking about? This dude, give me the pick. Nah, I see you. Let me go ahead and finish. Pull up game. This is what we need. This is what we need. We need to do no hesitation in this game. He has no hesitation in his bones. And I love the fact that when you see a guy come in like this, that's ready to shoot, that's ready to play, this stuff is contagious. And guess what? He was just here 2 games. He's just here 2 games, right? You take a look at what he's able to do. Listen, he had 18 points against the 18 points against the Raptors. One thing that I love about him is the fact that he's also able to switch off on multiple dudes, and he gives you that energy level. This is I was talking about this on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show the other day about the top 10 guys and what it is exactly that DeAndre Hunter I saw in his availability when he played a couple days ago. The most. No, I don't got no problem with these numbers. What you mean? Like, this is what I was supposed to be getting with the Browns. This is exactly what we need to see. The fact that you got DeAndre Hunter sneaking onto the list means that they think he's going to be an added bonus for the Cavs moving forward. He wasn't ranked. He averages 19. And by the way, I must say, My man is not shy. I saw him. I was watching the game with my dad. I said, "Oh, you don't have to worry about no pleasantries. He's coming in firing. He's shooting. He's jacking these shots up." I said, "Oh, I like this." The most impressive leap are the two big leaps. The Darius Garland went from, where was he at, 58th or something?
58 to 33.
That's a big leap.
That's a huge jump. Like, that's a big time, especially where his stock was. Remember, we was at the end of last year talking about, hey, we can't find nobody to take Darius Garland's deal. We can't even find nobody to take his contract after the way he played against the Celtics. And then the biggest leap is this, Evan Mobley, because when you start naming 10 players, right, when you start naming top 100 and top lists, everybody like to say people is in the top 10 until you start to name them out and list them out. If you think about 22, that's wild. I could give you SGA, Luka, LeBron, KD. That's 4 right there. Listen, they're all, Tatum, Brown. There's a bunch of guys you can name off the top of your head just to get to 10. 22 is very impressive, especially given the fact that, where he started from and the way he's playing. I think that's the bigger surprise to me, is that he's cracking the top 20. And with this trajectory, Dustin, I wouldn't think that he was going to continue to go on, and by next year could be a top 15 player. Yeah. Evan Mobley is he's playing at a different level right now. He's one of them dudes that has figured it out. And to me, this was the biggest thing that I wanted to see from the Cavs, because he was right. KG was right. In that interview, he said the Cavs struggled with the elite teams. They struggled a little bit with OKC. We saw what it did with Boston and the way they came in and won that game. Atlanta's length gave us a little bit of an issue. So for me, and as well as the Rockets. So and this is when we talk about Project Stockpile. I'll give it to Kobe. I was calling for mass changes. He did make the one change that I thought was the most obvious, was letting JB go. But he could have chilled out. He could have posted up. He could have been like, listen, George Niang and Karis LeVert, they're a big part of what we're doing. We got the best record in the league. We had an historic start. We gonna ride it out with this core 4 and what we got. But I will give him credit. He evidently saw my email about subscribing to the Project Stockpile Premium. $39.99 a month gives you all the names of the guys you should be getting and the guys that you should be getting rid of on your team. And he goes in and he gets DeAndre Hunter. And now your 5 is looking elite. Yeah, and I'll throw this out to you guys. Last super chat question of the day. We'll throw it out to you. Let me move this out so y'all can see. I should have asked you that. Are you in favor of the dome too? I should have threw that super chat 3 question out there. Y'all can answer that too. Are you in favor of the dome? And then 4, are the Cavs the favorite in the East? Now, for me, I think the DeAndre Hunter move moves the Cavs right here. And I'm willing to say this. I'm going to always give Boston, they're the champions. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I'm going to say this. If the Cavs win and they have home court advantage with this starting lineup and health, I got them neck and neck. And I think it could come down to home court advantage. Cavs got one of the best home court advantages in the game. For me, I think it's going to come down to that. I think it's going to be one of them things where it's going to be very close. But I love the Cavs roster at this point. I think they could pare down their rotations a little bit. Before, when you had Niang and Karis LeVert, they was going 10 deep playoffs. You're gonna pare that down a little bit. You're gonna have to pare that down. You're gonna have to go down to 8. So right now, the guys coming off your bench is, Max Strus is there. You still got Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade is a guy. Ty Jerome is first. But those are the 3 guys. And then you got Sam Merrill coming off in case you need a shooter. Sam Arrow's there in case you need a shooter, gives you instant offense. And I like that each one of those parts give you something different. I like the length on the roster now. Dean Wade at 6'9". You got a guy like Hunter who's also playing a 3 at 6'8", 6'9". And now the Cavs trajectory just looks totally different. Looks totally different. Let's get into some of our last super chats. And don't forget, coming up, we got to give the shout outs. Where you calling from? Where you pulling up from? Right here in the chat, man. We got a couple super chats we need to get to. G Money Uptown. Y'all gonna be mad when y'all move Watson and he balls somewhere else, like everybody else instead of firing Kevin Stefanski. You off in quarterback guru, but can't run no spread. Now look, G Money, I appreciate the super chat. Here's the thing: Deshaun Watson's not gonna play in that whole season. He's torn his Achilles twice, and I can't just project that he's gonna ball out like that. I just can't do it. I got to keep it real with you, bro. He did not play well this year. He's coming off a shoulder injury. He's now had 2 Achilles heel surgeries. I don't know if we can count on Deshaun Watson coming back and being at this point. I can't just, you guys show me. And at this point, a lot of people will say, hey, listen, I'll salute him if he goes somewhere else and ball. But I'm going to tell you this, it ain't like that. To me. J614 says, is Hunter the player Imani Bates should be shaping himself to be? If so, then this trade can be more beneficial than we thought. Man, listen, let me tell you something about Imani Bates. And this is all jokes aside. I don't be understanding what people be doing with Imani Bates, bro. Like, everybody's trying to make it a joke or something, bro. Like, I don't understand it. Like, Imani Bates got a skill set and dude can play. I was watching the All-Star game and watching these dudes run up and down the Rising Star games. And I'm like, listen, Imani Bates is better than all these dudes in these Rising Star games. The problem with Imani Bates is he started off the year injured and he didn't get an opportunity to show Kenny Atkinson what he can do. He was injured. He got to the G League or whatever. He just put up 33 the other night. And sometimes you on a roster that's stacked to a point where it's like, dang, I like Jalen Tyson and he ain't even playing. Tyson ain't even playing right now. I thought he should be getting some more minutes, but Imani Bates is not no like laughing story. Like I be confused what people be doing, and it be people in Cleveland. Oh, Imani Bates, he's not. I'm like, bro, since when do you have a prospect that could do some things and a prospect that can be developed and stuff? You don't see people running around laughing. Oh my goodness, Travis Bazzano for the Guardians. Listen, the Guardians got all these prospects. We don't be laughing at Gabriel Arias and Rocchio and Angel Martinez. Look, like, what is the thing with like this whole like G. Bush is in love with Imani Bates? I'm like, bro, y'all cats is. Some people be weird a little bit. I don't know, man. That's be weird. They be strange a little bit, bro. I don't know. But the dude can play. Hopefully get his opportunity. Tony Soprano said. It's real in the chat. G just wasted $5. DeShone is a joke of the NFL. The boy is a broken man. More turnovers than touchdown passes. Low score quarterback in the NFL. Tony, you got a Baker jersey? Oh man, y'all is funny, man. We didn't hit 12 o'clock on the dot. You know it's a testament. 12 o'clock, 1,618 people in here still watching. Number still goes up. Well, I want to thank you guys for participating. And as always, we got to do our shout outs, man. We got to give a roll call. I want you to tell me where you're from, where you're at, and what city you representing, because the barbershop and we everywhere. We that's what we do in the barbershop. Hey, if you know, you know. This is a labor of love. This show is for the people, by the people. You're as the biggest part of the show as I am to it. So let me start it off by getting to it, man. Your boy G Bush in the building. 330 in the building. Canton, Ohio, born and raised. 234. I love it. 216-440. Stand up, man. South Euclid, stand up, man. Shout out to Cleveland Heights, man. Shout out to everywhere, man. Shout out to anywhere in the surrounding areas of Ohio. Where y'all pulling up? Where y'all at, man? Hey, man. Larry Foss, we appreciate you as always, man. Soul Train down in Orlando. Cincinnati is in the building. Syracuse is in the building. Elyria, let's do it, man. Hey, man. Hey, Tyson, though, He the one. I like his game. I like his game too, man. Grass and Bass, I appreciate you, G. God bless you, brother, from Columbus. I appreciate you, man. What is this? Brookings, Oregon, 541 in the building. Chris Boswell, Way of Akron. I like it, man. Tacoma, Washington. Euclid in the house, man. Hocking Hills. Shout out to Hocking Hills down there. Athens County, stand up. Shaker Heights, Toledo, North Carolina, 216, Mentor, Ohio, 419. We everywhere, man. We are everywhere. Get your shout outs on. Make sure you comment. If you're watching this on demand, we appreciate you as well. Comment, like, subscribe, and you already know. If you want the fresh cut on sports, your man G. Bush is the guy. I keep the Clippers with me. You see him back there. You want the fresh cut, I give it to you all the time. And no matter how much stuff I talk, no matter how much I go hard at our teams, I love the Guardians. I love the Cavs. I love the Browns. I want to wish you a happy, happy, happy Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, go Browns. Go Cleveland.
Quality, service, atmosphere. You're next in the chair. Feel at home in the barbershop. G. Bush offers a fresh cut on sports. The barbershop isn't just grooming for guys. It's culture, it's lifestyle, it's sports. And it's now the barbershop is giving the sports scene a sheer shave and shine. Join the makeover now. Follow Garrett Bush at GBush91 on Twitter.